Welcome back to our Dice Throne Hero Spotlight series, where we're looking at all of the heroes from Dice Throne, starting at Season 1 and moving through each of the rest of the heroes, looking at their board, their leaflet, their cards, talking a little bit about how they play and what to expect. In this episode, we're going to be looking at the Monk. The Monk is quite a flexible and interesting hero. They can play more defensive, more offensive. You've got a lot of choices when you're playing with the Monk, so let's break open the box and see what we've got. And here we have the Monk. The Monk is a complexity 4 hero. As you can see, we've got a few different status effects there, lots of different upgrades, only a few unique cards. They, as I was saying before, they can be quite flexible. You can be a bit offensive, bit defensive. They've got some good ways of both adding damage and avoiding damage. So let's start over here at the leaflet and see what we've got. So when we look at our dice, again, we've got 4 symbols here. So 1 and 2 are fist, 3 is palm, 4 and 5 are zen, and 6 is lotus. So similar to the previous hero that we were looking at, the Shadow Thief, only our first 2 symbols are our fist there, our basic sort of thing there, rather than the first 3, which means our basic ability is going to be a little bit harder to hit once again. So that's worth keeping in mind. But let's have a look at the different status effects we have here. And we have 4 status effects, 3 positive, 1 negative. So first up, we have Chi, which is the status effect unique to the Monk, and kind of the big thing that they're about. So it has a stack limit of 5, and you can spend these tokens to increase or decrease damage. So you can spend them at any time to prevent 1 incoming damage per token, or you can spend it to increase your attack damage by 1 per token you spent, but you can't use it to increase damage on the turn that it was gained, and that is an attack modifier. So you can be using Chi as soon as you get it to prevent damage, or you can use it on the following turn to increase your attack damage. And you've got up to 5 Chi that you can build up to the stack limit, though there are ways of increasing that, as we'll see. Next up, we have Evasive, which we have seen before, but in case you haven't seen those videos, I'll go through it again. It's a positive status effect with a stack limit of 3. When you receive damage, you can spend this token, roll a dice. On a 1 or a 2, you take no damage, and you can spend more than 1 token if you want. You might still get other effects like status effects and such, but you avoid all of the damage. So a 1 in 3 chance of taking no damage at all, which is very nice. And a stack limit of 3 is quite lovely, being able to do that multiple times. Knockdown is a negative status effect with a stack limit of 1. You need to spend either 2 combat points or skip your offensive roll phase, essentially, is how this works. So you put it on someone else, and before they get to their offensive roll phase, they need to spend 2 combat points, otherwise they skip their offensive roll phase. Either way, the token gets removed. Usually it's just denying someone 2 combat points, but every now and then maybe you'll get someone to skip their offensive roll phase, but usually it's just spending 2 combat points. Next up, we have Cleanse, which is another new one. It is a positive status effect with a stack limit of 3, and you can spend this token at any time to remove a single status effect from yourself. So you can use this. It's particularly useful against people that are putting out a lot of negative status effects. So perhaps you're up against the Shadow Thief that's putting out a lot of poison, or the Pyromancer who's putting out some burn. This helps you to get rid of those pesky status effects quite easily. And you can build up a few of them if you've got ones that are putting out a few of those. All right, so let's have a look at these abilities that the Monk has. So first up, our basic ability, Fist Strike. 3 fists deal 6, 4 fists deal 7, 5 fists deal 8. pretty standard. As mentioned before, we only have 2 fists on our dice, so it is a little bit harder to hit. We've got 2 upgrades for the Fist Strike. First one, Fist Strike 2 for 1 combat point, just increases the damage on all of them by 1. And our second one, Fist Strike 3 for an additional combat point, says if we have 4 of the same number, we also inflict knockdown. Those are fine upgrades, but usually you're going to be wanting to spend your combat points elsewhere, I think, most of the time. Next up, we have Meditate. So for 3 Zen symbols, which are on a 4 or a 5, you gain 5 chi, and then you either gain Evasive or you gain Cleanse. So this is a nice setup ability, but obviously not an attack, but it can help you set up for other abilities that might be using that chi. It can help you to be more defensive, more offensive. As mentioned before, you have a lot of flexibility when you have that chi. And there is an upgrade for this ability as well. We have Meditate 2. It costs 2 combat points. You gain 6 chi, and you gain both Evasive and Cleanse. Now, obviously, we start off with a stack limit of only 5, so you wouldn't be able to gain all 6 of those chi unless you've increased your stack limit somehow, which we'll get to in a moment. But then we also have Zen Strike, 2 fists and 2 Zen, to deal 6 damage and then gain 2 chi. So this is quite nice. It's kind of an in-between of the Fist Strike and the Meditate here. So you're dealing some damage, you're gaining some chi. You can't use that immediately to increase your damage, but you could use it to prevent some damage later on. Then we have Combo Strike, 3 fists and a palm. You deal 6 damage and you roll a dice. On a fist, you add 2 damage. On a palm, you add 3 damage. On Zen, you gain 2 chi. And on a Lotus, you gain Evasive or Cleanse. So this is fairly nice. You're dealing at least 6 damage and potentially gaining 2 chi, which is the same as the Zen Strike there. Or you could gain Evasive or Cleanse, similar to our Meditate. Or you could be increasing the damage, so it's 8 damage or 9 damage, which is quite lovely. We do have an upgrade for Combo Strike 2. This is 2 combat points. This time we only deal 5 damage, but we do roll 2 dice instead. And we add 2 for every fist, 3 for every palm, 2 chi for every Zen, and for each Lotus we gain Evasive or Cleanse. This is a really lovely upgrade. It means you can be dealing up to 11 damage potentially, or you could be doing some combination of increased damage and getting some chi, or increased damage and getting Evasive or Cleanse, or you could be getting a whole bunch of chi. Any combination is really nice, and there's no... with some of the ones where you roll multiple dice, there's things where you can only get the thing once, but here, even if you roll doubles on any of them, it's still good, which is really lovely. So this is quite a nice ability. Then we have Tempest Rush, 3 palms. So remember, we're only rolling palm on a 3, so this will be 3 threes. Roll 3 dice, deal damage equal to the total roll value. If the roll value is at least 13, inflict knockdown. So this is a very swingy ability. 3 dice, so we could be dealing as little as 3 damage, as much as 18 damage. Law of Averages says that the average is about what it says there, 13. So if you're dealing about average or above, you're inflicting knockdown. We do have an upgrade for it, which only costs us 1 combat point, which says you can spend 1 chi to reroll any one of these dice, and we only need to get to 12 or more to inflict knockdown, which is quite lovely. Particularly when with a bit more of a swingy ability like this, it can be feels bad if you've got low values on all of those dice, so being able to reroll one of them is quite nice. But also, this is an ability that you're not going to be activating too frequently because it is that triple 3. It is quite difficult to activate. When you can get it off and get high numbers on it, it can be quite lovely. Then let's come over to our straights. So small straight, Fist of Harmony, deal 6 damage, gain 2 chi. So that's exactly the same as our Zen Strike over here. Exactly the same as what that's doing, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Bit of damage, bit of chi. Does have one upgrade where we're gaining 3 chi instead of 2 and 1 combat point for that upgrade, which again is fine. Gaining a little bit more chi every time is nice. Then we come down to our large trait, Fist of Tranquility. Deal 7 damage, then gain Evasive and 3 chi. Gaining Evasive is always lovely, and this time we're getting 3 chi instead of the 2 and 1 extra damage. So mainly the Evasive there is kind of the big upgrade between the small straight and the large straight. And we do have an upgrade here as well, which costs us 2 combat points. The only addition to the large straight ability itself is that we're inflicting knockdown, but we also have this additional ability, Way of the Monk. If we have all 4 of our symbols, Fist, Palm, Zen, and Lotus, we gain 2 evasive and deal 3 undefendable damage. That's kind of nice. Getting some undefendable damage is always lovely. Gaining 2 evasive is quite nice. Being able to have those defensive options is lovely. And it's always good having extra options to be able to fall back on if we need. Then we come over to our 4/6's ability, Lotus Strike. Deal 5 undefendable damage, then increase the chi stack limit by 1 and gain 5 chi. So this is the main way that we're going to be increasing our chi stack limit, and how, with that Meditate 2, we're not losing any chi there. But yeah, 5 undefendable damage is nice. Being able to basically go up to max chi or close to it is really lovely. And you can also be using the chi that you've gained on previous turns to be able to increase the damage here, and that'll all be undefendable damage, which is quite lovely. We do have an upgrade here, which increases the damage by 1 and increases the amount of chi you gain by 1. This upgrade costs 2 combat points. And then we also have Way of the Lotus as an additional 3/6's ability. Deal 2 undefendable damage, gain evasive and 2 chi, which is just a little nice fallback for you. If you can't quite get the 4/6's, you've still got the option of the 3/6's, still doing some damage and also gain evasive, which is quite nice. Then over here we have Serenity, the defense roll. You have 4 dice for your defense roll. On every Zen, you gain a chi, and for every Fist, you deal a damage. So you could be dealing up to 4 damage, you could be gaining up to 4 chi, or some combination of the above. And then, of course, you can spend those chi to then prevent the damage that is coming at you, which is kind of the key way that the monk is going to be avoiding damage, as well as the evasive that we're getting from some of our abilities. We do have a couple of upgrades for the defense here. We have Serenity 2, which costs us 2 combat points, and that just gives us 1 extra dice, so we're rolling 5 dice instead of 4. And then we have Serenity 3, which costs us 1 additional combat point. And now if we roll a Zen and a Lotus, we can gain evasive or cleanse, which is kind of nice. Being able to get evasive on our defensive ability, which is when we're going to be wanting to use that evasive, is really lovely. Or gaining cleanse if they're giving us some negative status effects as well, is nice having that flexibility there. So those defense upgrades are quite lovely there on the monk. Then let's have a look at some of our unique cards. Oh no, almost forgot. We have our ultimate ability here, Transcendence. So for 5/6's, gain evasive and cleanse, inflict knockdown, deal 10 damage, then increase chi stack limit by 1 and gain 6 chi. So getting all the things, all the chi, doing all the things, and 10 damage, and increasing your chi stack limit is quite lovely. Then let's come and have a look at the cards we have here. So we only have 5 cards that are unique here to the monk. So we have our promo card, Enlightenment. Roll a dice. On Lotus 6, gain 2 chi, evasive and cleanse. On any other outcome, draw a card. That 6 there is quite nice. It's lovely that both evasive and cleanse have a stack limit of 3, so even if you've got 1 or 2 there, you'll still be gaining the evasive, still be getting the cleanse, and same with the chi, it's got a stack limit of 5, so you're probably going to be able to use it in some way, which is very nice. Then we have Mystic Mantra. For 3 combat points, you gain 1 chi, evasive, and cleanse, and inflict knockdown on a chosen opponent. So you're getting one of all the status effects, essentially, and giving one away as well. It's a little bit of an expensive card, but does a fair bit for you. Then we have Palm Strike, 0 combat points, so a free card, just inflict knockdown on a chosen opponent. This is fine. I think a lot of the time, though, you'll probably want to sell this card. It doesn't have too much of an impact, but at the right time, perhaps you'll find it helpful. Then we have Ruminate, 3 combat points at instant speed to gain 5 chi. This is quite expensive, but it is also instant speed, so if you're in a pinch, it's there as an option for you to be able to gain that chi and then probably be using it to prevent damage, or maybe to be increasing your damage possibly. But you also have this other option here, Contemplate. For no combat points, gain 2 chi. So that's quite nice there, just being able to essentially prevent 2 damage for free or add 2 damage. Well, not add 2 damage because you can't spend it the turn it came in. But having those options and abilities is nice. So as we can see with the monk, lots of flexibility there for being able to prevent damage or increase damage. A lot of the time you want to be kind of building up that chi, getting some every turn, hopefully, with your defensive ability, particularly so that you can be preventing a good amount of the damage that's coming in. And then using abilities like your combo strike to pick up some incidental chi here and there, or maybe your straights to pick up some incidental chi. And then, also being able to increase the damage from your various attacks to be able to get through. And then you've also got the Tempest Rush there, of course, as a way to potentially get some quite large amounts of damage in. But yeah, that's the monk. We've had a look at all of their different things. Alright, that was the monk. As you can see, quite a flexible character, being able to increase damage, prevent damage, being able to use that evasive, that cleanse is quite lovely. So there's a lot of different things that they're able to do. But similar to some of the other characters that we've seen, they don't have additional ways to be drawing cards or gaining combat points. So if those are particular things that you're interested in, maybe there's other characters that might be more interesting for you, like the Shadow Thief that we looked at previously. They do also have those ways to be getting rid of status effects with that cleanse, which is quite lovely. But yeah, having that flexibility is quite nice. Being able to play in different ways depending on who you're up against works very nicely. But yeah, what do you think of the monk? Have you gotten the chance to play with them or maybe play against them? How did you find it? I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. And remember to tune in next time when we have a look at the Paladin. But until then, see you later.